Ladies and gentlemen, your hostess, Miss LaToya Edwards. Your hostess, Miss LaToya Edwards. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. Well, I guess you would say, what can make me feel this way? It's my girl. I'm talking about my girl.
Hello, everyone. Okay, let's try this here. We're gonna all take our seats and stop talking to our friends, and we're gonna try something that works only in kindergarten, and it will work tonight. Shh. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I know it's a Wednesday night, I know it's a work night, but let's pretend like it's Saturday and our kids have babysitters. Good evening, everyone. All right, now we sound like we want to have a party. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Whittier Street Health Center's 18th annual roast. Are you ready for a good time this evening? Let's sound a little bit better than that. Are you ready for a good time this evening? Okay, now before we go any further, we have to acknowledge a milestone for Whittier Street. Their beautiful, gorgeous, new facility that we drive by and we are so proud of. Let's give them a huge round of applause for their achievement. How many people in the room know the name Paul Grogan? Raise your hand. Do you think he's a cool guy? Do you think he deserves to be roasted? We're gonna go after him tonight, let me promise you that. We are privileged to roast Paul Grogan, President and CEO of the Boston Foundation, whose career has been dedicated to the advocacy of physical and economic reform of this great city of ours. Paul's passion for equitable access to health, education, employment, and housing has steered the Boston Foundation into a position of leadership and accountability in creating change in Boston and the surrounding region. Thank you. Now let's get this party started. And I want you guys, before we go, you saw how they played My Girl. They played that because I am Frederica's girl. This woman I admire so much. She's the classiest lady ever, and she's a queen. And so I am always pleased to assist in anything she asks me to do. So I skipped work at NECN. If you turn on the news at 9, I'm not gonna be there. Yay! And as you notice, throughout the evening, we'll have different little themes for things, different little musical themes. So we're gonna get this party started right now by introducing the participants of this evening's program. Let's give them a huge round of applause as we welcome them. Micho Spring, Chairperson, Global Corporate Practice and President, New England Region at Weber Shadwick. Larry DeCara, partner at Nixon Peabody LLC. Gary Gottlieb, MD, MBA, President and CEO of Partners Healthcare. Woo! Let's welcome them here right now. Everybody come on stage a little bit. Of course, Frederica Williams, President and CEO of Whittier Street Health Center. Robert Beal, President of the Beals Company. And Dr. Edward J. Benz, last year's roastee, a man with a great sense of humor. I'm so happy you're back and you showed your face after getting roasted by your own son last year. My goodness, you're a brave soul. And of course, our mayor, Mayor Tom Menino, everyone. And now, everyone, please rise to your feet. Let's get excited as I introduce you to the man who you all came here for, the man we are rallying around, we are honoring, and ultimately roasting this evening. Please welcome Paul Grogan. Woo! Woo, 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 woo! He's walking from the back of the room, folks. Isn't he handsome? Look at him come to the front. He has on a lilac tie. That's a sign of a man with confidence, folks. He's smiling right now, but you know what? He's in for some trouble this evening. Show those dimples. Ooh, baby. Excellent. Let's give them a huge round of applause. Paul, did you hear that? You are signed, sealed, and delivered. You are ours. Get ready. Please take your seats. So thank you so much for helping me welcome Paul to this evening's event. It's now my pleasure to introduce you to Whittier Street Health Center's president and CEO, a leader who is tireless in her efforts to make her organization be the best it can be. She is so respected in the city. And let's give her a huge round of applause right now. Frederica Williams, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Latoya. Good evening. Welcome to Whittier Street Health Center's 2012 Roast for Paul Grogan, a driver of Massachusetts healthcare reform. Tonight, we're honoring Paul, whose lifelong work as an advocate for improving the physical and economic health of inner cities has been the catalyst for propelling the Boston Foundation to the forefront of reform in the city of Boston and the region. It is because of Paul's dedication and the launch of several high-impact initiatives in housing, the arts, education reform, workforce development, and healthcare that the Boston Foundation continues to engage in civic leadership in the critical issues facing our communities. Before we begin tonight's festivities, I want to thank all of you for joining us here tonight to support a continued impact in the communities Whittier serves. Whittier Street Health Center stands as a community partner to ensure increased access to high-quality and equitable health care for patients from diverse backgrounds. We recognize that many factors affect health, such as unhealthy behaviors, family, socioeconomic status, education, and the environment. We take responsibility for the condition of the whole person and ensure that our patients are full partners in their own health and well-being. By working collaboratively with our patients and communities to educate and empower them, we have seen measurable improvements in the health of the patients we serve. We recently moved to our first permanent home, which has tripled the capacity of our old building. In our new patient-centered medical home, we have significantly expanded services to meet the physical, mental, and social needs of our growing patient population, and we have also added new programs, including the new Dana-Farber Community Cancer Center to address the cancer disparities in minority and low-income communities. As you will see in the upcoming video about Whittier, we have partnered with community organizations, schools, and hospitals to link our public health services to our comprehensive care. These include our partnership with the Boston Housing Authority and our satellite clinics in 5 Boston housing developments to meet the unique needs of public housing residents, and our school partnerships working with students, parents, and teachers at the Catholic Memorial School to engage and empower students in healthy behaviors and healthy lifestyles. This school partnership with Catholic Memorial is one example of the many programs we have to integrate health education into K-12 grade curriculum, and we're expanding our partnerships with the Boston Public Schools. Approximately 34% of our health center patients are without health insurance. Your support tonight allows us to provide free services and community resources that help members of our community overcome obstacles to good health. With the continued support of our donors and partners, Whittier is able to address the determinants of health which contribute to prolonged disparities in health outcomes for the communities we serve. By being here tonight, each one of you has helped to bring someone new through our doors, someone who otherwise would have gone without care. On behalf of our patients, board, and staff at Whittier, I extend my thanks to all of you. Tonight, we're here to honor Paul Grogan, President and CEO of the Boston Foundation. His work in enhancing access to the underserved in education, justice, housing, and healthcare are monumental accomplishments, not only for Paul and the Boston Foundation, but most importantly to the people of the city of Boston and the New England region, so greatly affected by the tremendous positive impact he has achieved. Under his visionary and exemplary leadership, the Boston Foundation also serves as a civic leader by commissioning and publishing research and providing a platform for discussion and progress related to a wide range of challenges facing Boston and the region. The Boston Foundation has been a long-standing supporter of Whittier's programs and services, a relationship which now includes the involvement of Whittier as a service provider within the Foundation Street Safe Boston program. The Street Safe program seeks to dramatically reduce youth violence in a subset of Boston neighborhoods disproportionately and persistently affected by high rates of violent crime, including the South End, Lower Roxbury, Dudley Square, and Grove Hall, all of which are served by Whittier Street Health Center. Whittier provides much-needed preventative health care and social services for some of the street state programs at-risk youth. Reaching for and achieving ambitious goals define Paul's remarkable leadership. Employing the key practices of the community development model in partnership with the healthcare community's valuable expertise is characteristic of Paul's leadership. In this vein, Paul and the Boston Foundation continue to leverage dynamic and effective community, corporate, and government collaborations to promote better health outcomes for all people and communities. It is this connection among all stakeholders working together which will help us to end the health disparities facing our community today. Paul's steadfast commitment to bridging divides, conquering inequities, and dissolving disparities are most impressive, and I could not be more pleased to honor him tonight. Congratulations, Paul. I would also like to thank those who made this event possible. This great evening to honor Paul could not have come together without the help of some very important people. First, I would like to thank the Roast Committee, and especially the co-chairs, Robert Beale, Whittier's 2008 roastee, and Dr. Edward Benz Jr., Whittier's 2011 roastee. Thank you, Robert and Ed, for your leadership, and thanks to the Roast Committee members for their dedication and commitment. I would also like to thank our special guest auctioneer, Mayor Thomas Menino, our very own roast toast mistress, Latoya Edwards, and Pastor Raymond Hammond for tonight's invocation. Thank you to all of our sponsors for your support of Paul and of Whittier, and to all of you for joining us tonight. We have a great lineup of roasters who I am sure will provide us with some great material on Paul. Mitchell Spring, Chairperson, Global Corporate Practice and President, New England Region at Weber Shandwick. Larry DeCara, Partner at Nixon Peabody LLC. A 2009 roastee and a very good friend of Whittier Street Health Center, Dr. Gary Gottlieb, President and CEO of Partners Healthcare. And after Pastor Ray is done praying, he'll come back and roast Paul. So Reverend Ray Hammond, Bethel AME founder and pastor. Thank you all for your willingness to put Paul on the hot seat tonight. We greatly appreciate the support of our sponsors who have shown their commitment to Whittier and to Paul. Our lead sponsors, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts, the Yorkie Foundation, Partners Healthcare, the Boston Foundation. Our patrons, the Brigham and Women's Hospital, NSTAR, Joshua and Anita Beckenstein Charitable Fund, Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, John Hancock Financial Services, Suffolk Construction, Boston Private Bank and Trust Company, EMC Corporation, the Bill Companies LLP, New England Development. Our contributors, Colette Phillips Communications, Northeastern University, Citizens Financial Group, Liberty Mutual Group, Harvard Pilgrim Foundation, P.S. Lynch Charitable Foundation, Roxbury Technology Corporation, Sovereign Bank, National Grid, State Street Corporation, Celtic Care, Rasky Berlin Strategic Communications, Donahue and Barrett, the TJX Foundation, Inc., Faye Chandler, Lovette Woodsum Foundation, Robert Mahoney, University of Massachusetts, Boston, the Owens Companies, Children's Hospital, Boston. Thank you to all of our table sponsors and friends for your continued support and for all you have done to make this event a success. I would now like to introduce you to Robert Bill, President and CEO of Bill Companies, LLP, and co-chair of this year's Roast Committee. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
Frederica, thank you. And I first want to say, if I can read anything, maybe I have to take my glasses. No, the big light. That big light, we have to turn it off. They do? Okay. But my co-chair tonight, Paul Guzzi, apologizes. He became a grandpa again today. His daughter had a little baby, and he had to go to attend because she arrived a little bit, or he arrived a little bit early. And it is, again, a privilege to welcome all of you to roast and make fun of Paul Grogan tonight. He's been a driver of Massachusetts health reform for years, and we are delighted to again recognize him for all that he has done for our community. And we are especially pleased for everything you've done to help Whittier Street to do all that they are doing in outreaching to healthcare to so many residents of Boston, and especially in the communities that need so much help. Tonight is our 18th annual roast benefiting Whittier, and it is a great pleasure to have Ed Benz come forward a little bit to talk about the video. And again, he got made fun of last year, and I was roasted a few years ago. This year I decided I wouldn't bring my new little puppy, Monty Jr., because I decided that he'd just bark at Paul, and nobody could hear anything. And it is a testament for what Paul has done in outreaching in healthcare and to so many other areas in Boston to help the Boston Foundation reach out and transform and help Boston into what it is today. We are, as a city and a community, facing increased cost of health care, and it is incumbent to us to work to continue support services like those offered for Whittier to bridge the gap in care. And Whittier is doing so much to do this, and we are so pleased that earlier this year we dedicated with great privilege, and Frederica, congratulations on your new facility. It is so wonderful. And again, we are so pleased to do this, and tonight it's going to be fun. We're going to poke fun at Paul, but you can't throw anything at him. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce Ed Benz, head and chair of our Dana-Farber Hospital. Ed.
Well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate your taking care of the lights. As an oncologist interested in cancer prevention, I was about to hand out sunscreen for us up here. So I'm delighted to have a chance to spend a few moments with you as this year's co-chair, especially delighted not to be this year's roastee. I'm very delighted that Paul will do that. I bring you greetings from my son, Tim. For those of you who were here last year, you may remember the rather effective job he did of roasting me. I've been sitting next to the Reverend Hammond, and inspired by him, I've decided to forgive my son. And I will do that sometime within the next 10 or 20 years. In just a moment, the video you're going to see is going to give you a sense of what a phenomenal and wonderful thing we have in the Whittier Street Health Center, what it means to our community, what it means to so many of the people who live here, the array of services that it provides, the specialty and primary care clinics, the attention, in addition to medical and clinical issues, to social, environmental, behavior determinants of our health status, things that many of us living in Boston with the incredible health facilities that we have and the health care that we have and the wonderful city we live in, things that are more or less things that we can take for granted, but so many of the people in our nation, as you know from listening to what's going on right now with the Supreme Court and the Health Reform Act. At our very best, American medicine is unmatched anywhere in the world, and at our very best, the medicine in Boston is unmatched anywhere in the United States or the world. But even in Boston, not everyone has the access to that wonderful medicine and that wonderful health care that they should. Whittier Street is an incredible facility because of what it does to make that access and to make that kind of health care, that kind of wellness care available to everybody, and in particular to the Roxbury community that it serves. It is a very powerful way that we all can participate under the leadership of Frederica and her staff in addressing the issue of healthcare disparities, in helping to end the epidemic of obesity, of hypertension that is ruining the health of so many people in our country and in our city. And that's why advocacy for community development and healthcare equity, which Paul does so well at the Boston Foundation, resonates with so many of us. And it's why we're here tonight. It's why all of you are in your seats today, because we care about this. We know this needs to be done. It's the right thing to do. And along with every one of us who served on the committee, we're very grateful that you've chosen to support us this way with your time, effort, and your resources. We're now going to show you a video that will give you some sense of this, because I think no matter what we say about the Whittier Street Health Center, it really does speak for itself. And this video allows us to hear the voice of Whittier Street. So if we could have the video, please.
Since 1933, Whittier Street Health Center has provided high-quality, reliable, and accessible health care to Roxbury residents. Now, with a new state-of-the-art patient-centered medical home, Whittier is increasing capacity, efficiency, and effectiveness to meet the needs of a broad and diverse population, and expanding its focus to ensure access to equitable, high-quality, cost-effective care. Many of the communities that Whittier serves face significant disparities in healthcare access and outcomes. Roxbury, Whittier's primary service area, has the highest rate of low birth weight and infant mortality, and greatest number of emergency room visits and hospitalizations due to diabetes and heart disease.
At Whittier Street Health Center, our focus on health care equity is important to improve the quality of care while lowering costs through actionable strategies to make sustainable improvements in the lives of our patients. To ensure high patient satisfaction and to reduce the racial and ethnic disparities in healthcare and health status, we have developed a team-based, patient-centered model of care. This model also incorporates patient self-management education to educate and empower patients to engage in healthy lifestyles and behavior modification.
Whittier provides the same high-quality care to all patients, regardless of their ability to pay for services.
I first came to Whittier Street about 20 years ago as a HealthNet patient. What I found was that I got the same level of care, same level of respect that I had received from my previous healthcare providers, but with a level of warmth and personal touch that I hadn't seen before. I fell in love with this place and I just never left.
In order to address the significant racial and ethnic health disparities of its service community, as well as the social and environmental determinants of health, Whittier has successfully implemented an innovative and comprehensive model of care.
We like to think that we were a medical home long before that term was fashionable. We have rooms that have been specially designed for group medical visits, which we've been doing a lot with diabetics and pregnant women and people with cardiovascular disease, where we can have a multidisciplinary team of physicians and nutritionists and clinical pharmacists, diabetes educators.
By focusing on both wellness and support, the Health Center team works together in a holistic approach to care for the whole person and to ensure that all patients are full partners in their own health and well-being.
I feel accepted as an equal partner in the business of maintaining my own health. And as a partner, I'm encouraged to take greater responsibility in that role. And that's a good thing for any patient.
By partnering with other organizations such as Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Whittier is able to identify and target the specific needs of the community. Whittier's new building includes a community-based cancer center to address the cancer disparities.
When you look at cancer care and how cancer care is delivered anywhere, high-quality cancer care, it's not really given in the communities where patients actually reside. And this gives us a unique opportunity to combine the trust of the community here at Whittier Street with the expertise at Dana-Farber. And I think it's separate from anything that anybody's doing in the country.
As a normal part of my physical exam, my annual physical exam, I usually take a PSA test. When my PSA test results came back, the results were a little bit over 4. I had the prostate biopsy, and the prostate biopsy came back as positive for cancer. Because of the early detection, I feel that I no longer have to worry about dealing with cancer in its final stages.
In addition to medical and social services, Whittier also offers educational programs to meet the needs of patients in all age spectrums. These education programs incorporate patient self-management education to educate and empower patients to engage in healthy lifestyles and behavior modification.
Part of my role is working with people of all ages, including pediatrics and adult patients, helping them to make better choices with the foods that they're making. One of the most exciting things is actually showing them how to prepare some of the meals in a healthier way.
Whittier has a special partnership with my school to teach students about healthy lifestyles and healthy living. For example, what we have learned from the nutritionist about portion control, we applied to our math of proportions. And we have discussed substance abuse and use in science. For me, I'm able to discuss my family history of diabetes and high blood pressure. Also, as a young African American male, I know what I have to do to keep a healthy lifestyle.
Dedicated to serving the community, health ambassadors, community health workers, and social health coordinators function as part of the care team, helping patients to address the barriers that impact their health. This allows Whittier to simultaneously reduce the burden on primary care clinicians.
I'm a cardiovascular health ambassador. It's an important role because the community needs information. The community needs Whittier Street to continue to do the fabulous and outstanding work in outreaching to the community.
No other health center does more outreach than we do. We serve the community by bringing health education to the senior centers, schools, churches, and public housing. Whittier is unique in the sense that we focus on the patient's greatest needs, the ones often overlooked by the healthcare system.
Whittier also hosts workshops and educational presentations, which give people the tools to take action in their own lives.
We have created a culture of wellness and support in our community, and our team approach to providing patient-centered and community-centered care makes preventing health problems and improving the quality of life a priority. This individualized, high-quality, cost-effective care has resulted in significant improvements in the health outcomes of patients at risk for costly and debilitating chronic diseases. And with this expanded capacity, have the opportunity to save, enrich, and empower many more lives in the years to come.
By investing in Whittier Street Health Center, we are investing in a healthier future, one that ultimately yields significant savings for all.
We at Dana-Farber are very honored to be able to partner with the Whittier Street Health Center in our joint community cancer center, and we're already learning a great deal about the barriers that prevent people from accessing the best in cancer care. I'm sure that that partnership is going to have an impact that's going to go on for many years.
I know as you watched that video and you saw the different stories, I'm sure you connected with someone. Maybe it was the young man, Devin, who was speaking about making healthy choices in food, or the different people who were, the patients who were represented in that story. For me, when I was watching that video, I connected with it, Frederica, for many reasons, as you know. The most recent is on Saturday, I unfortunately had to bury my grandfather. He died of prostate cancer, and he didn't have early detection. So when I watched that video and saw Bob Thomas, the prostate cancer survivor who was being treated at Whittier, and he had early detection, that's why he survived, it really hit home for me and reminds me about what we're really here tonight. We're here to celebrate Whittier Street Health Center. We want it to continue, we want it to thrive, and we want to tell you that we love you and we celebrate you. Okay, so before we move on to the auction and the dinner, I would like to welcome now to the podium Reverend Ray Hammond, MD, founder and pastor of Bethel ME, and chairman and co-founder of the Boston 10-Point Coalition, for our invocation. Let's welcome him.
Good evening. It's my privilege now to bless the food that most of you have already eaten. Before I do that, let me say what a blessing it is to be here with all of you, to see my friends here on the platform, in a very special way, of course, all of the staff and the leadership of Whittier, and our honoree tonight, a good friend, Paul Grogan. But I think without any doubt, and we rightly honor him, he would say without question that the wind beneath his wings are the people at these front tables here, the staff of the Boston Foundation, and I'm going to ask my family if they would all stand so we can honor them. All right, it's our annual hand-holding time. Would you join hands with those who are around your table as we just offer a brief blessing? Very new, un-New England, I know. On this night, oh God, we come to say thank you. Thank you for the leader, Frederica Williams, the board, and the staff of the Whittier Street Health Center. Thank you for a vision that began as a well baby clinic in 1932, and that in 80 years of service in this city has reached thousands of people with healing and hope, have touched those who were homeless and elderly and disabled and chronically ill. Thank you for its excellence in leadership, for its commitment to the restoration of community and people, especially those whom we call the least of these. Thank you for our honoree, Paul Grogan, for his many achievements over a long life of service to others, for his willingness to be not only a grant maker, but a voice, calling us to move beyond the barriers that have separated us, to value every citizen, and to open doors of opportunity so that all of us can live in safety, in dignity, and with purpose. Now help us to remember the homeless, the hungry, and those who are displaced by recession and violence. And as we break this bread and share in this wonderful meal, show us how to help those who are not as blessed as we are. Creator, sustainer, liberator, and lover of our souls, hear our prayer as together we say, amen.
Reverend Hammond, thank you so much. And now on to one of the most exciting parts of this evening, where all of you can participate. I know some of you have already been perusing, looking into your program book at the auction items. You intend to win. You will find your auction paddles at your tables. Please raise your paddle very high to bid on an item. If you are the lucky person to win an item, a Whittier Street volunteer will come to you and take down your information. Now remember, these are the rules. Shh, these are the rules. Remember to bid high, bid often, and when you're in a battle and you don't see any other hands, bid against yourself, okay? I'm now pleased to introduce to you our guest auctioneer. When I heard this man was gonna be our auctioneer, that was it. I had to be here to see him do it. Mayor Tom Menino, let's welcome him right now.
That's all the music? Thank you, LaToya. The news at 9. Be back in 90 seconds. That's her. If you haven't seen her neck in the evening, watch her. She's there. Let me just say it's great to be here for this very special night for Whittier Street. We all have our chance to roast Paul Grogan. And I've been put on alert that I can't do anything to say anything bad about him, because the Boston Globe will get me. I know Paul and I go back a lot of years, and some of the things Paul and I have done together in government, statute of limitation hasn't run out yet, let me just tell you. Remember, Paul, the day when I was a city councilor, and Paul was asked by my predecessor to lobby on rent control. Wonderful issue. And I was a little mezza on it, and Paul was the point person on it. And Paul really worked hard at it. He really believed in rent control, right, Paul? Oh, Jesus. Let me tell you. My God. And so the day of the vote, I happened to disappear. I was in Washington, D.C., because I was at a very important meeting in Washington. You know, rent control comes and goes, but my meetings in Washington was very important. Paul called me up and says, "Did you plan it this way? You're my 7th vote." No, Paul, I had this plan for months. But Paul and I Paul and I did together the Main Street program that's so successful in the city of Boston. I want to thank him those days, too, how he put that package together with the first urban Main Street program in the country. And it was because of Paul and I working together. Then, and then you read the newspaper saying, Paul Grogan and Tom Menino hate each other. Well, I wish I hate more people like you, Paul. You help us out in so many different ways. Thank you very much. I have a lot of folks out there I'd rather hate more than you, that's for sure. But they don't get me in the newspaper, you do. But let me just say, it's really great to, seriously, to be, I'm between you and dinner. Do you realize that? And, in an Italian household, if you stop at dinner, your hands get cut off. So I'm going right to the dinner, to the auction right now. And I just want to know, will everybody raise their hands right now? I want to see everybody has their hands up. It's not going to cost you anything right now. Back there, you don't have any hands back there? I don't see any hands back there at all. If you put the house lights up, we can get all these numbers and paddles as we go forward. Now, the first thing is, the first item, breakfast for the mayor. That's a misnomer, folks, because there's 5 items in this breakfast for the mayor. Only lobbyists, lawyers, and special interests could bid on this one. Breakfast for the mayor, date chosen by availability. That's one item there. The second part of it is Davio's Northern Italian Steakhouse. Davio's a fabulous place to have dinner. Everything is handmade and delicious, from the simple yet unique pasta creations to the dry-aged steaks. The next item is the Fairmount Copley Getaway Evening for 2. One-night stay in deluxe accommodations. 4 Red Sox box seats. On the first base line, these are Paul Grogan seats. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, you didn't deny that, did you, huh? I caught him. In a wellness basket, pamper yourself with a one-of-a-kind health and wellness basket. Let me just say, anybody want to give me $1,000 for that? $1,000 out there someplace? $1,000 there, do I have $1,500, $1,000 there, $1,500 out there someplace? $1,000, you can't buy, I'm not going to sell it for $1,000, that's for sure. $1,000 out there, we have $1,500 out there, $1,500, you have $2,000 out there, 15 right there, 2,000 right there, you have $2,500, 2,500, 2,000 there, 2,500, there's a bargain. Just to have dinner with me, have breakfast with me, my God. My God, a lot of people pay a lot of money to come and see, right, Larry? Huh? You get paid big bucks to come and see me, right? Okay. $2,500 out there any place? We got $2,500 right here. $3,000 I'm looking for. $3,000. 25 right here. Do I have 3,000? What business you in? What? He's a lobbyist. Okay, good. Go to the Ethics Commission first, way before you get to breakfast. Do I have $3,000 any place out there? $3,000. 2,500 right here to the lobbyist. Once, twice, sold this gentleman right here. What's your number? It's very secret. He doesn't have a number. Get his license plates, will you? Let's see what he got. All right, here's another one. If you don't like that one, here's an even better one. The Wicked Awesome Boston Package. Monster Red Sox Experience. I thought this was 30 seconds of music. What happened to the music? This is 30 seconds of music. What happened to it? My God. The guy with the beard had to leave. He had to go someplace very quickly. Crazy one. Okay, Monster Red Sox Experience. 4 green Monster tickets to the Red Sox home game on April 18th, 2012, against the reigning American League champion Texas Rangers. That's part of it. A signed David Ortiz jersey. 4 tickets to a Fiesta at the House of Blues. Fiesta is a critically acclaimed artist who reached mainstream success with her song 1, 2, 3, 4. She couldn't count to 5, 6, 7. Featured an iPod commercial. Not only does this package include wonderful music, but also includes access to the exclusive foundation room at the House of Blues. Just, wow, isn't that wonderful? Oh yeah. A weekend stay on the Cape. The house is located on the waterfront in Eastham, Massachusetts. The property 6 is close to the ocean and bay beaches, the Cape Cod National Seashore, Cape Cod Rail Trail, used before July 1st or after September 5th. So you can't have it in the summertime, folks. You only can have it in the rainy season and the hurricane season. Just think of that. That was given by Phil Johnson, I bet. Here's the other part of this. There's another one. We got another gift here, guys. Don't get nervous. Quarantine Bar and Vin Bistro. Inspire Parisian neighborhood bistro. Offer great food, the authentic French dining experience. Wow. You go to the Cape, you go to the ball game, you get 4 tickets to this event at House of Blues. Who are they? You know them? Anybody out here know who they are? Huh? I don't either. They must have had a poor sale for this one. All right, now, anybody want to give me $1,000 for, I'll start 1,000. 4 Monster seats, they're very difficult to get. 4 Monster seats, you got to stay at the Cape for during the hurricane thaw season, and also you have dinner. $1,000, anybody out there? Way back there, $1,000. Do I have $1,500 someplace out there? 1,000 out there, 1,500, 1,000? 1,000, 15 right there. Do I have $2,000 for this? It's a great bargain. $1,500. Do you have $2,000 anyplace out there? 2,000. Hey, guy with 1,000, go for 2, will you please? 1,500, 2,000, any place out there? 2,000? 2,000 right here. Do you have $2,500? $2,500 out there, 2,000 right here. Do you have $2,500? 2,000 right here. 2,000 once, twice. Sold right here. Okay, we have the music. I got my cue. Now here's the next one. Rest and relaxation package. This is a real good one, folks, real seriously. There's no Cape Cod in the winter and the summer. I mean, Boston Park Plaza, 2-night stay for 2, and dinner at one of Boston's most luxurious and relaxing, revitalizing destinations. Plus dinner for 2 at pairings, just like that. Then you're gonna get Boston Coach Town Car. I get chauffeured around Boston in a top-of-the-line town car, a healing connection, 4 sessions of healing massage. Oh, my God. Is that authorized by the 2 hospitals here? Or by Dr. Hammond? Bring a friend. Or bring a whole family. Just think about that. Bring your whole family to a massage. And also now we're healing souls. 2 sessions of that and the healing art for the day's stresses. That might be for me. Okay, Red Sox tickets, okay. 4 infield grandstand tickets to a Red Sox home game. This package includes the opportunity to watch batting practice. Yeah, if you get there early, you always go watch batting practice. From the warning track, okay. Right? Right? Am I right? But it says the end there in small print, warning at the warning track. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. All right. Anybody want to give me? How much did I get out there? I started $1,000. All these things. $1,000 someplace out there. 1,000 way back there. 1,500? No. 1,500 right there. Do you have $2,000? $1,500? Do you have $2,000 out there someplace? Hey, way back there, you bid for 1,000. You quit already? $2,000 I'm looking for out there. $2,000. Everyone bid $2,000. This is a great package for $2,000. Just think you ride around in a town car. Think you're somebody important around the city. So, no, we'll get somebody to open the door for you when you get out. So they, and clean the way for you. Everyone give me $2,000. I got $1,500 over here. Do I have $2,000 anyplace out there? It's a great package, seriously. This young woman's going to buy it for $1,500. $1,500, right? Put your paddle up and tell us what your number is. She has no number. All right. You have to put up with me for a couple more minutes because I have another. One more. No, don't clap yet. What the hell's a salt machine? All right, get back to business. Here's another wonderful package. Seriously, if it doesn't go for more than $5,000, something's wrong. 4 Red Sox tickets in the EMC box and a tour. 4 seats in the front row at the EMC Club. VI tour of Fenway Park. Here's watch back and practice again from the warning track. Here's a good one. You got a business? This is worth a lot. Customized message on the center field scoreboard. And in-seat dining service during the game. That's worth a lot. A Yankee fleet. Half a day of deep-sea fishing or whale watching. You could bring your whole family to that one too, I guess, huh? A week stay in the vineyard. A charming 2-bedroom, 2-bath home on the vineyard in Edgartown with AC, hot tub, and ocean views. The Salt Exchange. This is an exclusive chef's table dining experience with over $500 to spend on the taste of New England items like poached Maine lobster, a succulent braised short ribs. Plus, the Salt Exchange is one of the best bourbon bars. I'm looking at you, Grogan, on the East Coast. And here's really the star of the whole package. A signed Randy Moss jersey. He quit football 3 years ago. What's in there? I got myself in trouble. Who cares? You did it. No, I did not. Frederica, you did it. You know, Frederica's on the N-Star board now. Anytime your lights go out, call her. Don't call me. Yeah, yeah. I would have called you the other night if I knew you were on the board. Okay, this travel package. 4 Red Sox tickets, Yankee Fleet, weekend stay in the Vineyard, the Salt Exchange, and Randy Moss jersey, autographed. Future Hall of Famer. Do I have $1,000? This is worth more than $1,000. $1,000 back there, $1,500 there, $1,500 right here. Do I have $2,000 right there? Do I have $2,500? $2,500 right here. Do I have $3,000 out there? $3,000. Joe, she's bidding against herself. $3,000. I like that. $3,000 there. Do I have $3,500 out there someplace? $3,500. $3,000 right here. Do I have $3,500 anyplace out there? $3,500 right there. Do I have $4,000 right here? $4,000 right there. Do I have $4,500? $4,500. $4,000 right here. $4,500. $4,500. Any place out there? Why'd you quit so early? This is $45 right there. Do I have $5,000 for this one? $5,000. Let's go to $5,000 and make it worthwhile. Don't kid around. Want $5,000? No. Why not? $4,500 back there. Do I have $5,000 out there any place? $4,500 right there. Once, twice, sold right back there. I never had music when I did this before. Let me just thank you all, seriously. Whittier Street's one of those special parts of our city. The service they perform within those new 4 walls, just truly outstanding. 20 different countries they have go through those doors every day. And their staff speaks over 20 different languages. Just think about that. There's the health center that really represents the diversity of the city of Boston. And we have to continue to support Frederica and her team for the great work they do every day in the city of Boston. And to all of you folks who showed up to roast Paul Grogan, thank you for doing that. The line forms right over here. We'll be here till 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Just get in line. Thank you. I mean, seriously, Paul's been a good friend of mine for years. We work together well. Don't believe those media types. They just want to make headlines. We don't make headlines, do we, Paul? We don't care about the press. We just get the job done. Thank you very much.
Let's give a huge round of applause for Mayor Menino, the best live auctioneer I've ever seen. That was wonderful. All of the proceeds from tonight's festivities directly benefit Whittier Street Health Center and allows them to continue providing essential health and social services in the greater Boston area. During dinner, please pay attention, special attention to the displays as you'll be able to learn more about Whittier services. And please note that we will start the second half of this program, the roasting of Paul, after dinner. Thank you so much and enjoy your dinner. Okay, we are now going to begin the roasting. We have fattened him up with some delicious food, and now he's going to be roasted. Before we start, though, as we bring our conversation down at our tables, I would like for us to look around at the people who are serving our meals, and let's give them a huge round of applause for a wonderful dinner and great service. Thank you for what you do. And now the moment we've all been waiting for. Tonight we have our first roaster, who is Micho Spring. Having served 4 years as deputy mayor for the city, as well as chief of staff to the late Mayor Kevin White, and as a board member of the Boston Foundation, Micho is no stranger to the work and dedication of tonight's honoree Paul Grogan, and she may have some things on him, some private things that we need to learn about, right, Micho? Maybe. Please help me welcome Micho Spring. This is our song to you. Let's enjoy it. Paul, do you recognize the song?
So I need my visual aids up. Are they okay? Are you ready? So my role tonight is to put the legend of Paul Grogan in historical perspective. I feel uniquely qualified to do that because I knew Paul when he was humble. And I actually witnessed his transformation from a studious, young, bright, earnest staffer into the overconfident, power-hungry media hound that we honor tonight. Most of you here know Paul as the highly accomplished president of the Boston Foundation, a mover and shaker, someone who knows how to throw his weight around and occasionally does, well, often does. Well, actually does about 5 times a day, all covered exhaustively by the Globe, the Herald, BUR, bloggers and tweeters galore. Paul seems to enjoy the attention. But Paul was not always the mover and shaker that he is today. There was a time back in his early days at City Hall where we worked together as 20-somethings for Kevin White, when Paul was not so much the shaker as the shaken, and I mean really shaken. But first, let me tell you how Paul got to City Hall. Like many people, Paul started out without a mustache. Here he is seen right after graduating from Williams, wondering what city he's in and why his feet feel so wet. Without giving it too much thought, Paul went to Milwaukee to teach high school. Then one day while teaching history, he noticed that it was about other people. And the question in Paul's mind was, why is it about others when maybe it could be about me? He thought of Boston, a place with a lot of history lying around, waiting for someone to make use of it, and a lot of people named Paul who could be his models. And so, seeking proximity to power, Paul secured himself a job as a speechwriter for a politician. He felt so lucky. Unfortunately, the politician was Kevin White, who was charming, spontaneous, and knew everything there was to know about politics, Boston history, and almost everything else. But he had a certain disregard, you might say, for the sober, pedantic notions that afflicted the smart young college graduates he tended to hire, as he often told us, because he could get us cheaper than people with actual experience. Now we come to the crux of the story. On the eve of the State of the City speech, which the mayor detested delivering annually in front of the city council, Paul and I were summoned to the Parkman House. Paul saw his big chance. He mounted Beacon Hill, speech in hand, with visions of glory. It was time to show the mayor what he really could do. Along the way, I reminded Paul that whenever I was asked to write anything for the mayor, I just said I was from Cuba and could not speak English. Now, I could tell you the story in chapter and verse, but I think you guess what happens. The mayor yelling at Paul, "You stink," rings in my ears. But suffice it to say that on this occasion, the bright young speechwriter with the big vocabulary learned the true meaning of the word evisceration. Yes, for those of you who did not get 800 in the verbal section of the college boards, it means removal of your insides by a person who probably does not possess a medical degree. A practice that was popular in the Middle Ages was revived by Kevin White when he needed to communicate a certain level of disgust to his staff. But if that were the end of the story, we wouldn't be here tonight. Instead of sending us home in tatters, the mayor inflicted further punishment. He actually demanded that Paul stand in front of him and give the speech himself. Our Paul pulled himself together, and despite his rather awkward position, he actually gave the speech word for word, at first haltingly and then with great gusto. And Kevin White, after a long pause that seemed forever, looked up and said, "Not bad." The mayor went on to deliver the speech the next day, but of much greater consequence to tonight and to our history was the transformation that took place in front of my eyes as I saw the scrawny kid in the Williams t-shirt, the lonely teacher from a high school classroom in remote Milwaukee, the earnest young speechwriter with the delusions of grandeur take a hard look at the mayor of Boston and realize that he himself could be the mayor. He was indeed ready for history. It was a moment I can only compare to that mythic transformation tale of the 20th century where the mild-mannered reporter from a great metropolitan newspaper ducks into a phone booth, tosses his nerdy glasses aside, rips off his clothes, we don't have a slide for that, rushes to the nearest window, and leaps into the air. And my friends, that was just the beginning. Paul put some thought in how he should move on and take over Boston. And he decided the first step was to get out of town for a while. So he went to New York and got to be head of an organization called LISC. But it was too hard to pronounce. And besides, even though he rebuilt cities around the country, they wouldn't even let him cut ribbons at big events. Then he went to DC, where he got his picture taken with a Red Necktie Club and a group of people who thought handwriting was really a riot, but it just wasn't enough. So he came back to Massachusetts and headed for Boston. But like a lot of people, he took a wrong turn and wound up across the river. It was a lot like Milwaukee over there, another education scene with nothing to do but prevent the neighbors from burning down the school. Then came his break, and history called him at last. The Boston Foundation was looking for a new head. And it was Paul Revere all over again. Just like the Midnight Ride, except it wasn't the British who were coming to take over Boston, it was Paul making the British look kind of nice after all. So the Boston Foundation turned out to be really nice, but was it as good as being mayor? There's still a club he wanted to join. But three things happened along the way. First, he realized that it was probably easier to needle Tommy Menino than to be him. Second, it occurred to him really for the first time that to be mayor, you have to get the votes of people who are not necessarily nice or your fans, guys like these. And third, he realized that by issuing reports about everything that happened in the city, and by putting everyone in the city on one Boston Foundation committee or another, he could pretty much run the city from the Boston Foundation without getting his hands dirty in an election. And that's where things stand today. I will leave to the rest of the roasters tonight to speculate what new worlds Paul will conquer or institutions he will transform. The sky's the limit. But in the meantime, I warned the mayor, just be assured that Paul will be watching City Hall very, very closely. Congratulations.
Micho Spring, who knew? She took, usually we sort of warm up. She came out swinging. Paul's nose is bleeding. Yeah, good job. Next up, we have Larry DeCara, partner at Nixon Peabody LLC. Now, Larry has been intimately involved with the development process in Boston for over 30 years and has been named special counsel to the Massachusetts House of Representatives with respect to redistricting on several occasions. He has represented owners and developers before the Boston Redevelopment Authority. Paul, why are you shaking your head? Just hold on to your seats, okay? He's a former member and president of the Boston City Council and has taught at Harvard, Boston University, and the University of Massachusetts. Let's listen to what Larry's song will be as we all welcome with applause now Larry DeCara to the podium.
to you.
I do have this thing about dancing with tall women. My old friend Frankie Doyle said, "We're counting on you to be rough." And I reminded him of those great words of Danny Burke that those of us who grew up in Dorchester are taught: politics, sports, religion, and revenge. So here goes. Truth be told, I do not look forward to roasting an old friend. I've seen too many people occupying this role who may not have succeeded in achieving their goal, Micho being one significant exception. At this very event a few years ago, a dear friend was roasted by, among other people, his ex-wife. Okay? Our old friend, Tom Matarazzo, was roasted at an event in Hyde Park, I'm sure the mayor was there, which became so raunchy that Bishop Riley, who was at the head table, walked out not long after having given the benediction. And then there was the famous roast of Barney Frank, when Michael Dukakis, who may have thought he knew even more than some other people in this room, roasted Barney on the premise that he had lost his girlfriend, Kathleen Sullivan, to Joe Alioto, a much older mayor who was then the mayor of San Francisco. Little did we know. So I've known Paul for over 35 years, which means that I have much material from which to take for this opportunity. In fact, I've been waiting for most any opportunity to roast anyone who is tall and has a full head of hair. We first met when he and I were both graduate students at Harvard in the mid-'70s. That's the 1970s, for those of you who are a bit younger. And I found out that he worked for Mayor White. 1976, 77, when I was at the Kennedy School and took a class with Paul at the Ed School, as I recall, Paul, was so long ago that Republicans spoke to Democrats and members of the city council actually associated with folks who worked for the mayor. My first thought was, this is one serious guy, and that opinion has never been challenged. I recall a campaign going back to 1970, when Kevin White, who many of us knew very well, defeated Morris Donahue for the Democratic nomination for governor, in part because Donahue was such a serious guy. In fact, and there's a few in the room who might remember, his ad said, "Morris Donahue never smiles. What's so funny about the state we're in?" Well, look at the roasters who've been assembled this evening. Micho's had her whole agency at work, apparently, working on her visuals. We have my classmate, Pastor Ray. It's Holy Week, Ray. You're supposed to be here? But as far as I'm concerned, every week is Holy Week for Ray Hammond, but it may not have been the case when we were at Pennypacker Hall in 67, 68, and that's as far as we go, right? Pre-Gloria, okay? And then we got the doctors, okay? So we got some very serious people up here. So Paul can get his spiritual guidance, and we have at least two people at the head table who can prescribe any necessary meds. What else is needed? And I've seen Paul in action as a mayoral aide and a department head. He's also been my client. And not only is the Boston Foundation a client of Nixon Peabody, but I represented Paul and Tom Howley, his Williams classmate, when they bought their house on Walton Street, Ward 17, Precinct 9, for those keeping track. It was, I expect, one of those houses where there not only was nothing in the refrigerator, there may not have been a refrigerator. And Tom, in fact, has been elected to public office, something which has eluded some of us since the Carter administration. He was elected to the Board of Selectmen in Winchester, which to those of us who live on Perkins Street in JP, we refer to affectionately as Vanilla Land, where the public safety concerns have increased of late because of the sudden presence of coyotes. So Tom is also dealing with municipal problems, just as Paul is. So Paul, we worked together a long time ago at City Hall. We worked together at LISC. We worked together at Harvard, and now at the Boston Foundation. We've also compared notes about what it's like to be a dad and what it's like to live in the city, and about that probably neither of us should joke. And especially on behalf of all of those married to Williams graduates, in my case, one who graduated far after you and Howley did, we toast you as we roast you, and we congratulate you on all the good that you've done. All right, is that okay? Good. Not too bad, was it?
A true class act and an excellent dancer. And I like the height difference between us. Anytime you want to dance, let's do it. Larry, thank you so much. On to our next roaster, Gary Gottlieb, MD, MBA, President and CEO of Partners Healthcare, and Whittier's 2009 roastee. So he knows the pain. Dr. Gottlieb is deeply committed to the Boston community, both through his work at Partners and through the work he does on various boards. He serves as chairman of Boston's Private Industry Council and the city's Workforce Development Board, and as co-chair of the mayor's task force to eliminate health disparities. His efforts to improve workforce development and to end disparities in healthcare reflect a profound commitment to the ethnic and socioeconomic diversity of the city of Boston. Please help me welcome Dr. Gary Gottlieb to the stage. If you want to dance or just shuffle over, here's your song. We dedicate it to you. Woo!
Come Together, an appropriate song for someone like Paul who brings us all together to try to do good in this city. But I'll try to do some bad. Roasting Paul Grogan brings opportunities aplenty to figure out how Boston Magazine crowned his power number 20. Born in Chicago and raised in upstate New York, he's a nemesis for those of us defending healthcare pork. Was the pride of Williams College, studied academic history, so his emphasis on STEM and training is a bit of a mystery. His friend, Mr. Howley, told him that in order to do right, he should come far east to Boston to serve with Kevin White. He learned about neighborhoods and the power of great cities while wearing shades and a jacket, singing radiator ditties. He left us for a decade to train in NYC, to get his transcript in order to be a Harvard U VP. He became a student of the world of town and gown, but ultimately made that Ivy bastion frown when he went back across the river to finally take the helm of the great Boston Foundation and its philanthropic realm. He put on his Red Sox cap, put the top down on his sob, and he put his arm around the mayor to love his city, not his job. He penned a book called Comeback Cities, touting great ideas of many. On Amazon.com right now, it sells for as much as a penny. But he inspires us with challenges and an endless urban vision that keeps us all focused on our great city's mission. He's become a civic leader and an important Boston mentor, and he's allowing us to skewer him for the fabulous Whittier Center. That's why so many of you came from North Station, Back Bay, and Logan to roast and toast the great achievements of Boston's own Paul Grogan. So let's lift our glasses and honor this very special leader, even though he may be his book's only remaining reader. Thank you, Paul.
That was absolutely beautiful. It brought a tear to my eye. That was so moving. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gary. Now, lastly, we have Reverend Ray Hammond, MD, Bethel AME founder and pastor, and Boston 10 Point Coalition chairman and co-founder. Reverend Ray Hammond joined the board of the Boston Foundation in 2000 and became board chair in 2002. He was one of the founders and is now the chair of the 10 Point Coalition, a nationally recognized ecumenical group of Christian clergy and lay leaders working to mobilize the community around issues affecting Black youth, especially violence. Please join me in welcoming, and the song we picked for you, it's soulful, it has some spirit to it. If you get some spirit in you, you can dance right up to this podium. If not, you can just move and I'll dance for you, okay? So please join me in welcoming Reverend Hammond to the podium right now.
That's all that's left from those early days that Larry was talking about. So I am so glad that this is an opportunity for me to come and share. But you have to say that it's very hard for me to roast people, especially Paul Grogan. This, after all, is Holy Week, as Larry observed in the Christian tradition. It's supposed to be a week of reflection and meditation and preparation for the Easter celebration. And I was raised by parents who said, if you can't say something good, just don't say anything at all. So I was going to sit down here, but then I figured I should say something. So I want to take note of the fact that this opportunity at the Boston Foundation opened up for Paul at just the right time. The word is that back in 2001, people were getting a little concerned about him. I mean, he was doing good things, but you know, he seemed a little confused and aimless. He was in government, one of Kevin White's wunderkinds, and then he was with Ray Flynn. And then he was gallivanting all over the country, starting up these CDC things. And then he was working for one of those colleges across the river. People were beginning to wonder and whisper, does he know what he wants to be when he grows up? And we were aware of this on the search committee when Paul came before us. Took some real courage on our part to say, maybe this is the job that will help Paul find himself. So we took the chance, and the jury's still out. And you know how it is when you're the chief honcho of a place that gives out money like no tomorrow. People love you when you give them money and hate you when you don't. As the president of the foundation, you are the natural target of haters. But I don't care what anybody says. Sure, Paul sends Valentines to himself. And of course he genuflects every time he goes by a mirror. But does that mean he's not humble? So what if he trained himself to be ambidextrous so he could pat himself on the back with either hand? Does that mean he's not humble? There's no more humble person on this platform than Paul Grogan. And you can take my word for it. As the board chair, I would travel with Paul to the Conference for Larger Community Foundations every year to learn from other foundations and to hear Paul share with them the wonderful, marvelous, amazing, stupendous, miraculous things we were doing in Boston. Paul was so humble that during that entire 3-day conference, he said we could let our hair down, and I was free to call him Your Highness. As long as we were out of town as board chair, I didn't have to run ahead of him calling out, "Make way for His Excellency, Paul Grogan, Grand and Exalted President of the Boston Foundation." What a man. He's so humble, so humble. Only time I worried about Paul was when he bought a Saab convertible. It was really nice, but it made me worry. And now, it's not that I'm hating on Saabs. I think Saabs are wonderful cars, but I'd heard from a mechanic that they're difficult and expensive to fix. And then one night, I heard Tom and Ray Magliazione, Car Talk, say that because they're so expensive to fix, anybody who bought a second Saab must have an IQ in the single digits. Tom and Ray are like the Oracle of Delphi. And that got me worried about Paul, because I didn't know if it was Paul's first Saab or not. And I tried without success. I tried to get to his personnel file, but Beth and other people got in my way. And because he's a friend, I didn't want to ask, but I hope it's his first Saab. So Paul is far from perfect, but he's a pretty extraordinary leader. In fact, whether you look in government, public and private sector, the academy, this is a man who's consistently charted an innovative path. I was there when he came to the Boston Foundation with the mandate to grow its grant-making, its services to philanthropists, and its role as a convener and an advocate for justice. And that's what he's done exceptionally for the past 11 years. Lots of things I could tell you, but as I've shared in other contexts, maybe the point at which I was really confident that we had made a great choice was going with Paul to a community meeting that, again, never made the papers, often was the kind of thing that other people would have sent perhaps a staff person to. But he came because it was a community that was very concerned that their young people were ending up with a life sentence of unemployment because of their criminal records. And Paul promised to do something about it, and he did. That's a legacy. It's worth remembering. And tonight, Paul, as with those who are here, I come to say thank you for vision, for leadership, for service, and for friendship.
Thanks to all of our rosters, and thanks to all of you again for being here. I would now like to invite Paul to join us at the podium. After hearing the inside scoop from all of the rosters, it is now his turn to make his remarks. But before he has payback time, I have asked one of our patients, Phil Courtier, to join me at the podium to help me with the presentation. Paul, the award we are presenting you tonight is for all you have accomplished as a driver for healthcare reform. So this is one of two.
On behalf of the, oh, we're photographed.
Okay.
I can wait.
Okay, good. Thank you. And now you can speak.
I
on
go?
behalf-
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
wonderful. This is our famous patient, Phil.
And I'm not a tall guy either.
It's
okay. On behalf of the Whittier Street Health Center patient community, it's my honor to present you with this award. Thank you for being our healthcare, our what? Our driver for healthcare reform. There's more. We are deeply grateful for your leadership, your commitment, and your support for the Whittier Street mission. Thank you.
We did it. Great job.
It's actually my fourth sob. Oh well. Wow. You will understand that my natural shyness and aversion to the spotlight made me extremely reluctant to accept this honor this year. And further, had I known that these so-called friends of mine would have dismembered me so cruelly, I surely would not have accepted. But for the cause, I was willing to do it, and I know the center is honoring me purely because of my good works and the fact that I'm sitting on $900 million of philanthropic assets, and they have a grant request pending. I'm sure it's purely coincidental. Purely coincidental. This is a great crowd. I'm so honored. So many great friends and leaders from our community are here tonight. The mayor, who I will talk about in a minute. I'm sorry that Governor Patrick isn't here. He sent a very nice letter, but he said he'd love to be there, but the 2016 Iowa caucuses are only 3 years and 9 months away, and he couldn't squeeze it in. And speaking of governors, it was good to see Mitt Romney, wasn't it, back in town for the Massachusetts primary, which was his first trip back to Massachusetts since, I think, the second year of his governorship. The mayor is not here, so I'm going to speak freely, and I would appreciate it. I would appreciate it if no one told him what I'm going to say. But he was very, very kind to be here. He's a regular as the guest auctioneer, and you know, we're all a little concerned about the mayor. We know that he's going to run again, but the real burning question is, will he ever be able to walk again? But he gets around, and you know, everyone is focused on the mayor's, you know, on his leg and those problems that he's had. But I can tell you tonight that there's actually a whole other medical issue that the mayor is dealing with that, you know, people really don't know about, that's really equally serious. And it's fortunately he's in the medical capital of the world, right, Gary? And so he's gotten specialists from the great hospitals, even international specialists, dermatologists have gathered to really try to analyze the mayor's condition and try to figure out why, after all these years in politics, he hasn't been able to grow a thicker skin. They're hoping to find out what the problem is. Now, some of you may know that the mayor was very, very kind to me tonight. But we have had a few ups and downs since I've been at the foundation. And I had cause to really ask myself, why did we get along so well all the time when I was at Harvard? And we did. But then it dawned on me that Harvard needed permits from the city. And the Boston Foundation doesn't need any permits. And maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But it is very flattering that people do talk about, ask me, you know, a kid from upstate New York, whether I might think about running for mayor, and people said you'd be a terrific mayor, and it's very, very flattering. But I always have the same question: why should I accept a demotion? Anyway. My roasters, thank you all so much. You know, I can tell from the reaction of all of you here that you've really accepted many of the comments of the distinguished roasters, you know, really for what they were: vicious, unfounded lies and distortions. Micho, I mean, my colleague, you know, everyone at City Hall, as Micho told the story, had the experience of being flayed by Mayor White at one time or another. And I have my own fond memories of Micho's less glorious moments, and they do warm the heart when I think of them. But that's not really what I recall about Micho in those days. What stands out in my memory is her ruthless and spectacular rise to power. I don't want to say that when she arrived at City Hall she was awarded the smallest office in the building, but she did have to push past the brooms and the mops to get into it. And I know because it was right next to my office, and in those early days we shared some staff, and I really tried to be helpful to the kid, to the new kid. But the truth is that when she moved from the broom closet to the corner office at the mayor's request with the views of Quincy Market, Boston Harbor, and Southern Ireland, she took my staff with her. I was so glad, though, that she left me a desk. But a chair would have been nice. I had to go to community school so I could get a place to sit down. Now, not everyone knows this, although you all do tonight because she referred to it. She's from Cuba, and she came here just as Castro was taking power. She was an only child then, but there just wasn't room for both of them in Cuba. And not that she was a little aggressive or dictatorial, but after a few months of working with Micho, we were sort of wishing she'd stayed in Cuba and we'd gotten Castro instead. You know, I'm incredibly flattered that Gary Gottlieb is here, head of Partners Healthcare, one of the most prestigious medical establishments in the world, and I'm proud to say he's my friend. And you know, he is the very first psychiatrist to hold this prestigious position at the head of Partners, and perhaps that's good, although some people say he should have had his head examined for taking this job at this particular point in history, because it's really not enviable. I mean, imagine needing to convince all of us in perpetuity that we should pay $6,000 for an MRI at Mass General when we'll probably be able to get one for $100 at our local CVS in the not too distant future. So that's tough duty. That's really tough duty. And Larry, of all the presenters here tonight, I thought you'd bring a modicum of truth to the table, especially since you're the only one here who knows the Latin root of the word modicum. In fact, truth be told, we're all a little annoyed with Larry's unlimited knowledge of the community, of all things under the sun, and about everyone and their uncle. I mean, is there anyone here tonight who he didn't greet by name? And further identify your ward and precinct for you, and further let you know whether you voted for him for mayor, because somehow he knows. What is the Latin root of the word annoying, anyway? You know, there is this speculation about me running for mayor, but I never have, and I've never even formed an exploratory committee or taken any serious steps to do so. But Larry did run for mayor, as we all remember. And Larry would have been a great mayor, but his dream of becoming the Fiorello LaGuardia of Boston was not realized. Nevertheless, I think of him as a great success, at least in the way that Winston Churchill defined success as, quote, the ability to move from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Well, I wasn't just going to sit here defenseless the entire evening. Now, as Reverend Hammond noted, he was chairman of the board of the Boston Foundation for really most of my tenure there, and we frequently found ourselves in situations where we both had to speak at events, and when he left, I vowed never to follow him again in a speaking program, but here I am making the same mistake all over again. I have to confess it's a little odd to be at an awards dinner where either Ray or Gloria or both are not receiving an award. I mean, do you remember there was a period in this city when you couldn't go out at night without finding yourself at an awards dinner for one of the Hammonds? they had to build a whole new wing onto the house just to contain the plaques and trophies that were piling up and had no place to go. But, you know, I have to tell you, Ray, you're not fooling me with this custom that we repeated this evening, as we knew we would, of all holding hands at the beginning of the evening. The real story about how that began, when Ray was really getting involved in civic affairs and public policy, and he would find himself in meetings with various public and elected officials discussing the issue of the day. And he told me the best way he could think of to keep their hands out of his pockets while eyes were closed in prayer was to have everyone join hands and not let go until you knew your valuables were safe. But there is a problem here, and here's where Ray's two careers collide with one another, his career as a minister and his career as a physician, because, you know, we've come to learn that holding hands is actually the best way to spread disease. So my question is, Ray, why are you trying to kill us all with this? Well, in truth, the speakers that have been here tonight have done me just unbelievable honor. They are among the very best in our community, contributing so much, and that I count them as my friends, and their willingness to put a considerable amount of time and thought into this tonight. I'm deeply, deeply grateful, and deeply grateful as well to our great three co-chairs for their leadership tonight in turning in what, as we can see, is going to be another great success for Whittier, and give them vital resources to extend the work that they're doing. And much has been said about Whittier tonight, and I won't go on at great length, except to say I really believe that it is institutions like Whittier that are going to show us the way both to better health and to moderating healthcare costs. And as you saw from the video, Whittier has joined very strategically public health, wellness, and prevention efforts with access to the best medical care possible. And unless we do that everywhere, we will not be healthier, and we will not moderate our costs, which will kill us in the end. So this is a very special and important institution, and I am so gratified to have played a small part in this enormous success this evening, and thank you all for being part of it. Good night.
Paul Grogan, everyone. That was pretty wonderful. That was pretty funny. And you're a really good sport, because from the very beginning, Micho just slapped you around and just kept going on from there. Even a reverend took a shot at you. My goodness. So on the tables this evening are beautiful flowers donated by Plantai. And if you have a star on the back of your program book, you are the lucky one who enjoys the flowers. You can take them home, please. Thank you all so much for all you've done this evening to honor Paul Grogan and to show your support for Whittier Street Health Center. Have a safe trip home, and we hope to see you next year. Thank you for coming.
Great fun, Paul.
Larry, you were great.
All right, my pleasure. Good stuff. Okay. Oh,
and we're both from Dorchester.
My mama used to teach a great job. Oh, really? Yeah. Chicago Russell from 56 to 70. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Okay. My mama was about that big.
Tried to hurt me with goodbyes. You think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I. I will survive. They took all the